Carlsbad People, Purpose, and Impact, an essential podcast for those who live, work, visit, and play in Carlsbad.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. My name is Bret Schanzenbach. I'm the president and CEO of the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce, and I am your host this morning. I'm very excited to have with me today Dr. Bryan Brockett from Carlsbad High School. Good morning, Dr. Brockett.
Good morning, Bret.
Nice to see you. I was looking over your resume, and it's been very interesting. So I want to get into some of the little parts and pieces that you've had along the way, but I would love to just start with before I get into what got you into education, we have to acknowledge that you did get your bachelor's degree at Kansas, and they are still alive in the March Madness tournament.
Yes, 4:29 tip-off this afternoon, and so I'll be trying to wrap things up and get out of the office early today for sure.
And they are the only number one seed left as of last night. 2 went down last night, so we got to give a little shout out to your Kansas. Is it the Jayhawks?
The Jayhawks.
The
that's
Jayhawks.
Right,
yeah. Okay. I think in my family pool, at least one person or maybe more has them picked. So they're excited they're still alive.
I pick them every year, Bret, and that means that I win the pool once every 20 years.
There you go. I know that feeling. So what got you into education originally?
So interesting, we in education now we spend a lot of time, helping kids kind of map out their future. And I think, I lacked a little bit of that. And really it was people encouraging me and seeing things in me that were strengths that I probably didn't know that I had. I think my first job, I had jobs in high school working with kids through coaching or officiating sports, things like that. Got into the same thing in college. A friend of mine in college said, "Hey, they're hiring down at the preschool down there. You'd be really good at that." And I, as a college age guy, I didn't think that was, really much of anything, and went down there and really did enjoy that.
Yeah, nice.
Came back, got into coaching and just working at the school, kind of elementary school started out. And that was really through, again, a former coach of mine who reached out and said, "Oh, we need you. You'd be great." So I got into coaching, and next thing I knew, a couple of weeks later, they said, "Hey, we need somebody to be the kindergarten playground supervisor." And so they hired me on for that role. And since I was doing nothing at the time, I was just out of school. I'd been traveling. I came back home. My parents were, bugging me about getting a job and figuring out what I was going to do. So, they'll offer me a few bucks an hour to go down and take care of the playground supervision. And, really it was, that person was one of my big mentors in getting into coaching and teaching, and, helped me get that job. And really one thing led to another. And next thing I knew, I was teaching Spanish to kindergartners, first graders, and second graders, which paid more than the playground supervision, which is why that was very appealing at the time. And then, next thing I knew, I had folks encouraging me to go back and get my teaching credential and continue on into a career.
That's awesome. So I noticed it looked like, from what I saw on your resume, you taught Spanish for 14 years?
Correct, yes. Yeah, both middle school and high school after I did that elementary for a couple of years. So a great experience, really.
High school at Torrey Pines High?
That's correct,
yeah.
which is my alma mater. I grew up in the area here, grew up in North County, and went to Torrey Pines. So it was very, very fun to be back at my alma mater and be working there alongside some of my former teachers as well.
Yeah, that's always a great experience. That's wonderful. And I noticed in our Rising Star of the Month program, where occasionally we'll have a parent from your high school who will be sharing about their son or daughter in Spanish. And I noticed this week when that student was kind of, I don't know how you should say, maybe underrepresenting what dad was sharing, right. and you jumped in and kind of was like, hey, he was giving you more love than just that.
Yeah. He was being humble. I think that, being multilingual for me has been a real gift in terms of both professionally, because it gives me an opportunity to connect with more different people than I might otherwise, but also, just in life and in traveling and having an opportunity to sit down and talk to people about their experiences and things. It's really, I think, opened up a different world for me. So I really appreciated the fact that I've had that opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. And then you mentioned coaching a little bit. It looked like, from what I saw, you spent time coaching girls basketball, golf, anything else?
Yes. So I started at relatively small middle school. We had about 180 students. And so I coached actually 4 sports.
Wow.
Surf team goes year round. And then,
Nice.
and then I had flag football in the fall, basketball in the winter, golf in the spring, did tennis for a time as well. And then, I moved over to Torrey Pines, and I kind of, was hoping to take a little step back from that, but I had some of my former players that came to me and they needed a golf coach at the time. Now, if you've ever seen me play golf, you know kind of what a joke it is for me to be the golf coach. But my joke is that I know how to drive a van, I know how to order shirts, and I can get the right 6 players there on a given match day. So it's a very, I felt honored to be part of a really successful program, but the kids all had their own coaches.
Yeah.
It was me. I was the chief organizer more than I was doing it. I didn't want to screw anything up,
It's like you're like the team mom in a sense.
Bingo. Yeah, exactly.
That's great. But then eventually you went on and got your PhD at UCSD? Is that right?
So EDD,
EDD.
My doctorate in education. There's a joint program. And again, I think the way things have happened in life, I think fortuitously for me is, I had the former director of the program. It's a joint program between Cal State San Marcos and UCSD.
Okay.
And the former director of the program, her son went to the same preschool that my daughter was going to. I'd run into her all the time. When are you going to apply for the program? When are you going to apply for the program? She kind of planted that seed with me. And it was something that was kind of an educational goal of mine long term. And I felt like it was either, while my kids were young and before they were into all the kinds of activities that they're into now, or maybe much later in my career. And so really the opportunity and the timing was right, and got into that program. And it really was, I think, rewarding to go back to school as an adult, much more aware of what I wanted to do, how I learned and how I could function best in that environment. And so, really, really valuable experience. And I think helped me just re-envision what I might do, further down the road in my career as well.
Yeah, that's excellent. My wife's going through that right now. She's in a master's program, a master's in bioethics, and she's just totally loving being immersed in it. And, like you said, it's a different experience, as an adult.
Right.
And so you taught at Torrey Pines and some other places, and then you got your start in administration. It looks like, from what I could find, at Aviara Oaks Middle School, maybe?
I actually came to Carlsbad originally as the assistant principal at Valley Middle School. And so came up there and spent 2 years there as the assistant principal. Really great experience. I worked with Tom Bloomquist as the principal there, who now I work with again at Carlsbad High School. He's our athletic director now.
Oh, nice.
He and I worked together. It was a great learning experience. And he was, I think, has a great approach that really taught me a lot. And then from there, I went down to Aviara Oaks for, I want to say, 3.5 years, I believe, as the principal there. And at that point, there was a transition at Carlsbad, and I made the move there actually mid-year that school year, which was, a unique challenge actually coming in mid-year. It's not really the way our calendars are set up in school.
Right. Yeah.
You kind of plan for the year, you implement, you set your goals, you implement what you're going to do. It was harder than I thought coming in mid-year.
Sure.
But now I believe I just finished my, we passed mid-year and I hit my 4th year.
Nice.
At Carlsbad.
Excellent. Well, we are going to take a brief pause. We've been talking to Dr. Bryan Brockett from Carlsbad High School, and we're going to get into his experience at Carlsbad High when we come back. So stay with us. So you moved over to Carlsbad High mid-year and had to jump right in, and now you've been there for 4 years. And I was looking at your mission statement online, and I love this mission statement. It says, "Provide every student an extraordinary education and in an inspiring environment." And I love those words: extraordinary education in an inspiring environment. So tell me, what does that mean to you, an extraordinary education?
So it's interesting because, one of the things that I've done both at Aviara and Carlsbad is we've taken, that's our district mission, right? So that was, really something that was developed with stakeholders across the district.
Gotcha.
And we've taken that at the sites and said, and I've, talked to our teams and said, what does that mean to us? It's funny, you should say that. So, one of the things that really came out of that conversation for us at Carlsbad High School, when we wanted to really kind of update our vision of who we were, was, we wanted to create a positive and supportive environment. I think, it doesn't sound like that should be extraordinary in schools, but really, you think about it, we're a small community with 2,300 students and staff. There's a lot of moving parts there. And so, that really, the foundation being, creating an environment that's positive and supportive for our kids. We articulated in there that we want all Lancers, and when we say that, we want staff, students, our community to be valued, challenged, and empowered. And we want to value, challenge, and empower people to do their best. And specifically, we talked about in the classroom and beyond, because there's so much that goes into a comprehensive high school. So much of what we do, goes beyond the classroom. There's so many great experiences that kids can have outside that in a lot of ways are more formative than what they do in the classroom. And so, that really is what it is. So when we talk about extraordinary education, we want to think about the whole picture of the student. We want to think about the academic piece and doing great things in the classroom academically. We want to think about how we take those things and expand them and extend them into the real world beyond the classroom. We want to think about what are the extracurricular and co-curricular opportunities we provide for students to really let them find those avenues that are meaningful to them and where they can succeed and excel. And that's one of our big goals is, where are the contact points for different students? They're going to be a whole variety of things that different kids are interested in doing. Where do we get them connected? How can we support them in doing that and provide opportunities for students to do things at the school?
Well, that's fantastic. And I know some of the distinctions that honors and awards and things that your Lancers have won over the last few years. There's probably more that I'm not aware of, but I'd love to at least draw out a few of them that I've become aware of. So your Carlsbad High School TV program has won numerous awards over the years. But for those who maybe are hearing about this for the first time, share a little bit about that amazing program.
Well, CHS TV is really the gold standard for student television production nationwide. The crew just won this year, I believe, the 4th consecutive Pacemaker Award, which is essentially the Pulitzer Prize for student journalism. Wow. It's really outstanding. The STN is the nationwide network or organization for student television network. I think that I feel bad losing count, but maybe like 12 or 13 consecutive years as the #1 daily live broadcast.
Daily. That's amazing. Just that it's a daily broadcast.
Right. And you talk about, we talk about connecting, what we do in the classroom to the real world.
Sure.
If you have a chance to come by, I'd love to show you the studio if you haven't been by to see it.
I've been once. It was very impressive.
It's a professional caliber studio. I've been down to, for example, 739 News.
Sure.
Other than the robotic cameras, everything really looks the same.
Yep.
We've had students that really have gone directly into working professionally, even while they're in college.
Yep.
And off to a number of the top, broadcasting schools in the country. And like any program, it takes really amazing people to create amazing programs to give those opportunities to kids. Doug Green is our broadcast teacher. He is renowned nationwide for his work in that realm, and was the former California State Teacher of the Year, and deservedly so. Just an amazing resource for us to have and to build that and provide those opportunities for students.
Yeah, I've had a chance to be down at like KUSI and Fox 5 News and others, and I agree with you. It feels the same when I visited your studio. It was amazing. And one of my board members had his daughter. I think she graduated. Yeah, she graduated recently, but she was part of the Lancer dancers who got to go I think to like Florida or something for some big competition.
They've been amazing too. I mean, many years of great success with the Lancer Dancers. That's our competitive dance team. And, we've got, multiple levels of dance and actually looking to continue to grow that program, even though it's been, long established. We've been talking this year about how do we grow numbers, provide more opportunities for kids to get involved in dance. But yeah, they've been, multiple time national champions.
Nice.
They travel annually to the national championships in Florida and, in a variety of genres of dance. They've excelled. And one of the great things about Lancer Dancers is it's not just about the competitive piece. They run camps for younger students, for elementary students at various times throughout the year. They bring them in, they get to work with our kids. It's a great leadership development opportunity for our students. It's a great, connection with the community and with Carlsbad High School. So they really, as a program, have done a great job of not just doing the competitive piece, but doing these other pieces that really help build and strengthen the community for sure.
I love that. What are some other ones that maybe the public isn't as aware of?
Super proud, obviously. I think, they get a lot of publicity, our athletic programs. We've had a top athletic program. We previously have been top in the state of California in terms of just, the variety of programs and the success of those programs. I'm particularly proud of the way our athletic teams go about the work that they do. I think our coaches do a great job of really reinforcing, the positive sportsmanship aspects of school-based athletics. And it's an interesting landscape for athletics because a lot of really competitive stuff takes place in club now.
Right.
We like to talk about how playing for your school is like playing for your country. And there's something special about doing that. And I think that our coaches do a great job of that. I was just out yesterday at our first ever home match for girls beach volleyball, which is a new CIF sport that we adopted this year.
I hadn't heard of that.
So super excited to be out there and see that opportunity. Our speech and debate program is also one of the top programs around. They're getting ready for. They've been through state qualifiers over the past several weeks, and we have. I want to say. I know we have 13 academic All-Americans in speech and debate this year.
Wow.
And I can't remember off the top of my head the number of kids that we have qualified to go to the state championships this year. But Minia Curtis is our speech and debate coach. She's done an amazing job. And I think the list goes on. We've got in the visual and performing arts realm, in addition to dance, we've got our band has done a phenomenal job. Drumline just had their best result at the regional championships that they've ever had, which is really a testament to the work they've done, especially coming out of the pandemic.
Sure.
Choir has performed well, has moved up into the highest division of show choir in the region here.
Awesome.
So I think that there's a variety, whether it's sports or academics or visual and performing arts. That's what I was talking about earlier. Like having all those outlets of opportunity for students is really something we value.
No, that's great. And of course, add all that up together, and that's part of the reason why you were our Administrator of the Year last year for our CBAD Awards here at Carlsbad. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I want to say you didn't probably wisely didn't give me a venue to speak at that event. So I'll take it now as long as you put a microphone in front of me. I think that it's nice to win, or to be recognized in an individual manner like that. But to the point of all those things I talked about, it really takes especially at a comprehensive high school, but really at any school, it takes so many people doing all of those things to make great things happen. And I look at my role as really more creating the environment for the opportunities, those opportunities to happen. But you need the Doug Greens and the Minia Curtises and the Peter Manzies, our band director, and those people that really drive those amazing programs. Teachers in the classroom every day doing great things with their students. That's what really makes a great high school. And so like I say, well, it's nice to be recognized. It's such a team effort at a big school like Carlsbad High School that it's really I think a testament to everybody else's work.
For sure. Well, you surrounded yourself with people of passion, it sounds like, and that makes a huge difference.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of that around Carlsbad High School. Which I failed to mention is that we were, several years ago recognized as the most spirited high school in the nation as well, which was a great honor for our really driven by our ASB and our loud crowd kids. And so that was a great one as well.
That's fun. So we don't have to go deep into it, but obviously you're not far out of the COVID school experience. and of course, all kinds of challenges in the world of education. What I would love to pick on is if there's any silver linings or any innovations that came out of it that you think are going to be positive, long term, that, before we went to that lockdown, people maybe wouldn't have seen.
I think for me, on a personal level, my philosophy of education is really like at the foundation of what we do is really all about the relationships that we build and our ability to, to support people, build people up, and help them be successful through connections and relationships. Yeah. And I think more than ever, I've seen that that's true. I think to me, what we were missing during, school closures and the pandemic was that lack of personal connection.
Sure.
And it has taken really over the course of this year, time to reestablish that, both, teachers with their students in the classroom, administration with our, working with students, and even when we have students that are maybe having challenges or, doing things maybe they shouldn't be doing, the best way for us to be able to influence that is through having a relationship and really sitting down and talking to those students and parents and working through things with them. And so, that is one thing to me is reinforcing really the value of that and the importance of prioritizing.
Yeah.
The relationship piece in education. Beyond that, I think there are other pieces. I think that we've seen that, there are different ways to deliver curriculum using technology and to maximize time face-to-face in the classroom, where we might have spent more time, on perhaps instructional delivery before, and we can do some more things, pushing along the lines of what's called flipping the classroom, where maybe you're pushing out, via video or something, what your instruction is, and then using more valuably your time in the classroom to work with students in smaller groups or one-on-one with what they're doing, those types of approaches. Right now, I feel like we're seeing some of that, as we transition back, we're seeing some of those pieces that are sticking in what we're doing. But to your point, we're barely clear of COVID here. And I think even through this year, this has been a much tougher year. I think I talked to a lot of colleagues, and I know I've felt this way. It felt like last year was this, this almost impossible year, right? Like we'd never seen before. We're out of school, we're trying to transition back, doing all these things. We thought, well, that's going to be the hardest year we ever do.
Right.
The truth was, I felt like this year was actually has been harder in a lot of ways, having everybody back and then trying to navigate, like the spike through the winter, and the absences and the the quarantines and the things that have gone along with that. It's in a lot of ways presented different challenges. So I think we're, I know personally, I feel like I'm just now getting through some of that, and we're feeling like the weather's getting nicer and things are hopefully settling out here. So I think as we really look into next year, it'll give us an opportunity to really continue to reflect on and reinforce what those positives are that we can take out of this challenging time and really continue to implement moving forward.
Yeah. I felt like in our world, in the business world and in chamber and our events, the reopening time and trying to get back to normal was as confusing and as challenging as the shutdown time was, previously. So I feel what you're saying for sure. Well, and I also wanted to take a moment to thank you for all the support and activity you've been in our Rising Star program, because that appreciate your support, your engagement, love hearing your student stories, every month. And for those that don't know what our Rising Star of the Month program is, it's a fantastic program we have here that each month we hear from one high school senior from each of our area Carlsbad high schools. And it's really a great program that focuses on kids who have overcome challenges and have kept their education on track or got it back on track. I always love the stories, and you and I both kind of talk about how it's one of our favorite days of the month each year. But I just wanted to really thank you for your engagement with that program.
Well, it's a lot of fun. It is one of the highlights. And speaking of, we talked a little earlier about the student this month, and that's the kind of student that I really enjoy having the opportunity to spend some time with and recognizing that the student who might not be winning all kinds of awards in other places.
Right.
But I think the Rising Star sometimes gives us the opportunity to recognize a student who might not realize, that they're doing great things.
Yeah.
So they're just going about their business
Yeah.
and thinking that's, normal. And we see it from the outside and recognize that they're really doing great things and really on this great path moving forward. And I hope that sometimes that gives an opportunity for a student to step back and really appreciate themselves in the way that we appreciate them too. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come down and chat with us. Really enjoyed it. Appreciate all that you do in our community, and hopefully your Jayhawks survive into the Elite Eight tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Brett.
Take care. Thanks for joining us on our Carlsbad People, Purpose, and Impact podcast today. If you enjoyed it, please hit the follow button on wherever you get your audio, and please tell a friend. We would love to hear your feedback, which you can share at carlsbadpodcast.com. You can leave us a review, ask a question, or leave an audio comment, which we can play on the show in the future. And that's all we have for today. Can't wait to see you next time on Carlsbad People, Purpose, and Impact. And remember, share some kindness today. It's free, creates goodwill, and makes you feel great.